right. So we're talking about job search during the holidays. Lots of things going on in the holidays, obviously. And, Leslie and I were talking before this clicked on about how it's kind of easy to get into that holiday mode and things are a little like, oh, what day is it again? And all that stuff. So, right, we know it's terribly, terribly easy. So what's going on this time of year as far as holidays? Obviously, people think about Christmas, right? So there's Christmas, there's Hanukkah. And then there's a bunch of others, and I'm not even going to try mentioning all these things because I don't want to mispronounce anything or forget. And of course, New Year's too, right around the corner. But look at this. There are so many different holidays. There are actually, between Thanksgiving and New Year's, there are 26 religious and cultural holidays that are recognized here in the United States. There's a lot of stuff going on. But here's the message. Don't put your job search on hold until after the holidays. It's always kind of funny as a resume writer, and I was talking about this with my family at Thanksgiving, as a matter of fact. It almost seems like once one of my clients said, we're hoping that we'll get their resume done before the end of December. And then once one person says, I think I'm going to wait until after the holidays, it seems like every single person that I'm talking to says that same thing. It's a weird, and none of them are talking to each other. It's just this kind of mood, this thing that gets in the air, right? Well, I'm going to tell you, if you're a job seeker, the smartest thing you can do is not put your job search off on hold for a lot of different reasons. But what's going on? Okay. Well, retailers take huge advantage of this season. This is when all the, and any season, right? They create holidays, basically, Memorial Day sale, Independence sale, President's Day sale, everything becomes an event for them to get extra attention, right? Well, retailers know how to create a season and take advantage of it. And so should you. Okay. So we're going to talk about how you can stay really strong and resolute just as this tough little guy during that. So now, one thing I don't know if everyone knows this. Even during, so last year was the exception. COVID was the exception to everything. However, even during the recession, so from 2008 or so to 14, 15, 16, around there, even during the recession, when we thought that hiring was really at its worst and its lowest point, January has consistently always been the highest hiring month. Okay. Now, what that means is January is the biggest month where they are actually bringing on those new employees. So what does that mean? When did all those people interview? Guess what? They were interviewing in November and December. So those are the people who capitalized on the season so that they were sitting in their new office chair in January. And that's what employers are looking for. Now, I want you to think about these two things as two different ways you can approach the holiday season and your job search. The woman on the left that, has a bunch of arms and stuff, but look at this. She's organized. She's productive. She's got everything lined up where she wants to be, instead of throwing yourself into that mad dash without a plan. When you get into, a season like this without a plan and think, I'll just, throw some resumes out there, take a machine gun approach to your resume, or, I'm not going to talk to people. I'm just going to throw a bunch out there. It's not going to be structured and it's not going to be successful. Okay. So this is the right time, absolutely the perfect time for you to be sitting down, spending, some off time this week to say, okay, what is it that I'm hoping to accomplish? What kind of job am I looking for? Am I looking for a full-time job? Am I looking for seasonal or part-time? Do I want an additional job to the one that I have because I'm losing hours? Whatever it is, just sit down and make a structured plan. Okay. And now here's what we're going to do. By the way, these companies, UPS, Kohl's, Target, Amazon, Walmart, others, they're looking to bring on thousands and thousands and thousands of employees right now. So the opportunities are out there, even if it's just part-time seasonal. And keep in mind, the numbers right now are the numbers are in your favor because everybody else who has taken that back seat and said, I'm going to wait until after the holidays, they're missing out. So on top of all, all the fact that the jobs are out there, if you stick with a plan, you'll have more success, all of that, you are actually putting yourself into an emptier pool of candidates right now. So everything's working in your favor. So let's talk about one of my favorite sites. And if you've seen me present before, you might be rolling your eyes because yes, I talk about LinkedIn an awful lot. No, I don't have stock in the company or anything like that. I just know that it really is pretty much the best job site out there right now. So what can you do when you've got downtime for the holidays? What can you do on your LinkedIn profile? Obviously, first and foremost, make sure that you've got an eye-catching, updated profile. Your profile will show you, I think it's like a little graph kind of thing saying whether you've got a strong profile, a super strong profile, a profile that's a little bit weak and needs some attention. This is the perfect time to update your profile. Go on to other people's profiles who do the same work that you do, and take a look at how they've got that set up. Make sure that you've got all the right keywords and all that good stuff. What else on LinkedIn? Joining groups. Now, I always put question marks around this now because I'm not sure how, LinkedIn groups, they kind of come and go in their effectiveness and their power, I guess. I'm part of a lot of groups and the chatter just kind of in the past year has died down. And I think it's just because people are kind of getting zoomed out, finding the groups are losing a little bit of steam, but that doesn't mean you should ignore them completely. Okay. Because you could be the one to kind of pick that up, join a group and start posting things and start asking questions. They need people to actually start the chatter. Okay. So find a group that involves the type of work that you want to do or your industry, or maybe there's an alma mater group. Maybe there's a local group. There are a lot of groups that are specific to Chicago, Chicago job seeker group. A lot of individual networking groups have their own LinkedIn groups. So there are a lot of places to go on LinkedIn to join groups where you yourself can start some of the chatter. Start a conversation about, hey, I'm looking for a job, specifically an admin assistant position in the western suburbs for a doctor's office. Be as specific as you can and just say, does anyone have any leads? Does anyone have a good recruiter that they've worked with? Anything like that. Just start some conversations. That's actually what LinkedIn groups needs right now. And then obviously maintaining and growing your network. If you've ever heard me talk about LinkedIn, then I'm sure that you've heard me say that the most important connections to you are your second degree connections. You've already met and connected with your first degrees. I'm not saying they're not important. They are. You need to keep up. You need to maintain those relationships. But the only way that you get as much oomph out of your LinkedIn profile that you can is if you grow your network. And that's where the second degree connections come in handy. Go on to your connections and just take a look. If you're connected with someone by first degree, you're able to see who they are connected to. There's a really interesting, I'm not going to get into it right now. Maybe after, if people don't know how to do this, I'll be happy to walk you through this. But there's a great search feature. It's been around for a couple years now on LinkedIn, where you can actually look up specific people in your connections. So if you want to look up and see how many project managers I know and you and I are connected, you can actually drill down and search specifically in my connections for a project manager or for an accountant or whatever, help desk administrator, whatever it is. But you don't have to sit there and look through, I think I've got, 3,000 connections or so. You don't have to look through every single one of those connections to try to find people you want to know. LinkedIn has made that search function an awful lot easier, and kudos to them. That is a really good add-on feature. Connecting with recruiters, of course, I'm just so confident in saying this. Every recruiter primarily now uses LinkedIn to find candidates. Of course, they have many other ways of finding candidates, but all of those other ways take a lot more work than LinkedIn at this point. So they all just head to LinkedIn first. I was a recruiter for a number of years before LinkedIn was around. And this was the time when I would open a phone book into the company directory, call up companies, talk to the receptionist, say, hey, I know that you know everything that's going on in that office. Who are the people who are looking to leave? Can you forward me to them? And a lot of times the receptionists say, yeah, sure, what do I care? And that's how recruiters actually got a lot of their contacts. It was cold calling and talking really, really sweetly to receptionists, hoping that they would send you to the person who probably has their foot out the door, and then talking to that person saying, I'm a recruiter, here's what I can do for you. Let's, come on in and set a time to meet. That's a lot of work. Whereas now with LinkedIn, just a couple clicks, every recruiter can find a ton of candidates. So you should be making connections with these recruiters first so that you're already in their database by the time they've got the job that you want to be considered for. Okay, so reaching out to recruiters, such a smart tactic. And by the way, you do not have to simply, you want to look for recruiters by not only their location, but also by industry, because there are recruiters who hire for different states. A lot of my Chicago clients work with recruiters in New York, California, Ohio, Kansas. I'm trying to think of like most recent, but yeah, Kansas, Ohio, always New York, always different cities in California. And these recruiters are not hiring for those cities, they're hiring for Chicago. So you want to make sure that, again, when you're looking for recruiters, don't just go by local recruiters. The other thing, when you are recruiting, when you are connecting with recruiters, ask them if there are any other recruiters in their network that you should connect with. If they don't have anything that they're posting you for right now, they're not going to mind that question. They're going to say, yeah, you could try a couple of other recruiters. They may have some other postings. I'm just not working on anything that's a good fit for you right now. So always, always ask a recruiter for referrals to other recruiters because their network is expansive.
Lauren, can I ask a question since
yes.
It kind of relates to what you were talking to?
I'm sorry, what? Say that again, Leslie.
We've got a question that relates to just what you were talking
to.
Oh,
perfect. Yeah, perfect. Great.
It says, patron says, I'm looking for permanent part-time. I've had the experience of recruiters losing interest in speaking to me because I don't want full-time. Any advice? Yeah, most recruiters don't handle part-time. Their employers don't pay recruiters enough for that type of work. So that's just really, and it's not the recruiter's fault. It's just not something. And by the way, let me just explain a really quick thing. Recruiters don't necessarily go out once they have a candidate. So let's say you connect with them. They're not going to say, I'm just going to make up a name here, Sharon. Sharon is a great candidate. I need to go out to my employers and see what jobs Sharon is a good fit for. That's absolutely not how it works. It's just the opposite. The recruiters get the jobs from the employers, and then their job is to singularly and laser beam focus on that particular job and find good candidates. If you're not a fit for that job that they are looking to fill at that point in time, they won't have anything to do with you. Not because they're mean, just because that's not their job at that point. Their job is they have a post and they're going to find good candidates, not they're going to find, work with a good candidate and then try to find jobs for them. So part-time, a recruiter is not your best bet. This is where you want to do tons and tons of networking on your own behalf. Obviously, you want to still look at all the jobs. There are part-time jobs listed on LinkedIn. There are part-time jobs listed on the other job sites as well. By the way, the other job sites, I'm talking, Indeed, Career Builder, Monster, those are always secondary to LinkedIn as far as the jobs portal. I think that LinkedIn is just the best one out there, but you should be looking on those other sites as well. The other thing that you can do is, if you're familiar with Google Alerts, and if you're not, just Google Alerts, this is where you'll set an alert for any kind of
word or phrase, anytime this comes up in any kind of story or anything like that, you'll get an alert. I have a bunch. I have 17 different Google alerts set. My name, my company name, outplacement, layoffs, words and key phrases that deal with my particular industry, because anytime those things are mentioned in the news, I want to know about it to see if there's some action I should be taking as far as like promoting my business or writing a new blog post, just trying to stay on top of what's going on. For you could do an alert for part-time employment and anytime, or part-time jobs, things like that. And anytime there's a new article or maybe a new job posting that actually has those words in there, you'll get an alert. By the way, what I mean by alert is you'll get an email. Okay, that's all. It's an email. You could create your own folder for it, create a rule where those go into their own folder so you're not getting bothered a bunch of times a day. You can also set the alerts so that they only come in once a day. That's actually what I would do. I would set the alert, look for part-time employment, part-time jobs. If there's a specific job you're looking for, part-time administrative assistant, whatever that job is, and then create a rule and create a separate folder where all of those emails go into that particular folder, and then just check it out once a day, once every other day or so, and just see if those are any good job leads that you want to apply towards. Let's see, there was one other thing that I wanted to mention. Networking, quite frankly, because part-time jobs, companies don't spend a lot of money promoting those jobs because they don't get the biggest ROI out of them. So you've got to network with people. This is where building your LinkedIn profile will really help, and talk about it. Well, and that's one of the things that's going to be on in a future slide here, is letting your network know about what you're doing in your job search. Okay, so I'm gonna stop right there, because hopefully with the Google alerts, and then looking at the other sites, and then networking, and I'll explain that a little bit more. Hopefully that's given you some ideas. But again, if you are strictly looking for part-time, at this point in time, you can reach out to a couple recruiters. I would be surprised if you had any better luck than you're having. And that's just, I don't think it's bad to still talk to recruiters though, and just say, if there's any way you can keep me in your database, if you happen to hear any of your employers that are hiring for part-time, I'd love to hear about it. They may give you a very polite, yeah, I could do that, but just know you're not going to get a lot of focus or concentration from them at all. So recruiters just aren't going to work for that. Let's see. And then, okay, so continuing with this one, going on to LinkedIn Jobs, great job portal. And by the way, if you're looking for remote work, when you're in LinkedIn Jobs, there are two kind of search boxes. The first one asks to put in either a role, a title, a keyword, skills. So directing the type of job that you're looking for. And then the second box is putting in the area that you're looking for. You can now type in remote. And if a company is offering a remote job, that's going to come up. Keep in mind, a lot of companies are doing some kind of shystery things right now. They will advertise the job as remote, only expecting maybe the first 2 to 6 months or so will be remote, and then that candidate will be expected to come in the office. So that's something that you need to look out for. And as you're typing a remote, and if you're reaching out to employers and you're strictly looking for remote, make sure they know that. Just say, I'm hoping that this is going to be a permanently remote position, because I'm not in your area, or whatever. Even if you're in their area and you still want remote, that's perfectly fine. But even companies who are full remote, every once in a while, if they're local to you, they will want you to come into the office, maybe just once a month for a meeting or something like that. Connect, whatever. But if you're looking for remote work, that's kind of just a little off-topic secret. A lot of companies are kind of pulling this bait and switch right now on remote versus requiring their employees to come in. So just keep that in the back of your mind if you're looking for remote work. And then also on LinkedIn, information sharing. this is really smart because this is a really good way to increase your network. Going onto there are 2 pages on LinkedIn that you have kind of dominion over. The first one obviously is your profile. The second one is your home page. And that's where anyone who's posted anything who's in your network, you're going to see that. It's kind of like Facebook, a Facebook timeline, but much more professional, hopefully. But this is where people are posting different articles and surveys and polls, and take part in that. The other day, someone posted hey, let's do a scenario about offering people salaries. If you know that your budget for this salary is this much, and you've got a great candidate, but she said that her salary requirement is this much and it's not as much, would you go with hers or would you offer more? It was just this kind of salary negotiation conversation. And so I chimed in, and it created a lot of chatter. I got a couple new connections from it. It started a really interesting conversation. So especially if you've been out of work, LinkedIn, the LinkedIn homepage is a great place to go and look up articles, keeping within the conversation of your industry. Okay, so just even staying on top of your industry can be done on your LinkedIn homepage, obviously, as well as other sources out there. But use that homepage because there really is a lot of really good thoughts, ideas, things that just can keep you as up to date as possible. I highly, highly recommend it. And then lastly, and this is where my Zoom control thing is in the way, but I know what it says. LinkedIn Learning used to be Linda, L-Y-N-D-A, but LinkedIn bought Linda, and now it's called LinkedIn Learning, and it's right there available to you, where you can take a lot of different classes. Some are easy, some are really quick, some are just, hey, if you take this, we'll be able to put that you're familiar with word processing or other types of skills, and you'll get little badges, for your profile and everything. But then some of them are a lot more extensive, such as business writing, business communications, different programming languages, things like that. So LinkedIn Learning is absolutely fantastic if you want to maintain some skills, maybe grow some new skills, maybe just jump on a class and say, I'm just wondering if I want to invest in learning about this, taking classes at a larger organization. So LinkedIn Learning is a fantastic resource. And like I said, once you complete a lot of their classes, you'll get little badges and things like that. The badges I couldn't care about, but what that actually relates to, as far as I'm concerned, is more keywords. It's a great way for you to add keywords, add relevant keywords to your profile, which means you're going to be coming up more in the recruiters' searches when they're looking for people like you. All right. Now, this is what I was talking about before, your network. You want to let people know about your job search. Now, here I've got Facebook and Twitter. I'll be honest with you, I rarely use Twitter. I used to have it hooked up to, I've got it hooked up to my LinkedIn profile. You can connect your social media. So it's probably connected to my LinkedIn, but I can't even remember the last time I logged in on my Twitter. And I talk to a lot of people who say the same thing. So I want to primarily focus on Facebook. If you use Facebook, I know that, people like to use Facebook to see funny cat videos and to keep up with family, and that's about it. The minute I start encouraging people to use their Facebook to talk about their job search, this is when they suddenly shy away. But you know what? I wish I could change everyone's mind about that. No matter how many people you're connected to, let's say you don't have a lot of connections. Let's say you only have 25 connections. Those are 25 people who are potentially working right now and potentially have heard from their employer, hey guys, we're looking to hire. So if you know people looking for a job, bring them in. And a lot of people, by the way, a lot of companies right now are hiring. They're so desperate to hire. The interviews are basically like, will you please start tomorrow? So, but here's the thing. If you don't let people know about your job search, that person is probably not in the same mindset as you. So as their boss said, hey, if you know of anyone who's looking for a job, let us know. That doesn't mean they're going to log on to their Facebook page and say, hey, everybody, my company is hiring. They may just it in one ear and out the other. They've got a job. They're not really thinking about this, right? But you as a job seeker, if you posted something saying, hey, everybody, I'm so glad that it looks like we're turning a corner on this COVID thing. Hope it looks like 2021 may end on a really happy note. I've had a great year and have some news to share. I'm in a job search. I'm really excited for my prospects. I'm talking to a lot of great people, but I thought I would just put it out here to you as well. All of my Facebook friends, if you happen to know of companies who are hiring, or if you've worked with a great recruiter in the past, or if you want to, if you'd help me by taking a quick look at my resume, seeing if there's anything I missed, any kind of help that you could offer, I would deeply appreciate it. Let's keep this positive momentum going. And if I can ever return the favor, please don't hesitate to ask. Okay. So if you put out just some kind of notice like that, it's positive, it's upbeat. It's not, oh, woe is me, I need help, I'm desperate. So if you keep it positive, that's a great way to think about this. And people will want to help you. Think about yourself. If you saw someone else post something like this on your Facebook page, would you think, oh my gosh, what a loser, they're not employed, blah, blah, blah? Of course you wouldn't. You would never think that. Nobody would, right? What you would do is stop a moment and say, hey, okay, well, she's looking for an accounting position. Do I know of any accountants? You know what? I've got a really good accountant and they're always busy. Maybe I should see if they're, if they need someone or whatever it is. Or maybe you saw a job posting that you didn't pay much attention to because it wasn't what you were looking for. Whatever it is. If you saw someone post that on your Facebook page, I guarantee you would stop, think a moment, say, how can I help this person? And if you could, you would offer that help. Okay. So likewise, if you're that person asking for help, give your connections a chance to do exactly what you would do for them. Okay. So again, it could be an upbeat message, looking to close 2021 on a positive note, looking forward to 2022 and having great conversations and, excited about some prospects, but I still want to build up as many as I can. And in your call to action, you should be specific. If you don't give people the type of job you're looking for, they're going to say, hey, maybe Walmart is hiring for overnight stock clerks or, stuff like that. And you're like, wait a minute, that's not what I want to do. So again, in helping people help you, be specific about the type of job that you're looking for. But I'm going to tell you something. If you do this, I know it takes guts. I know it can be a little intimidating, but you're not going to regret it. That's my promise to you. And I've done this before where during in-person classes, I would have everyone get on their phone and I would dictate a message just very much like the one I said. And everyone would type it in. I think most everyone would. There still would be some holdouts, which is totally fine. But for those gutsy people, they would type into their Facebook, and then I would have everyone turn off their phones, and then we'd go on with the class or presentation. But about 5 minutes before the end, I would have everyone turn on their phone and we'd take a look at the results. And the messages that these people got just in an hour or even a little less were incredible. Not only, hey, I know this company is hiring, or I've got a great recruiter I can introduce you to, or I'm happy to look at your resume, or hey, have you thought about this, or whatever it is, but just it creates so much positive momentum and could give you ideas that you hadn't even considered in your job search before. So, and by the way, if you okay, so for the person who's looking for part-time, this is probably your best bet to getting to a part-time position. It's most likely going to happen through networking, reaching out to people. It's more likely going to be that than the traditional job search route. Okay. So for you in particular, I really, really, really hope that I've convinced you that this might be a good thing to do. Because like I said, it's probably going to be what pays off the most for you. Okay. And then other things that you can do on your social media. Oops, wait. Oh, here it is. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the slide and not recognizing it's the right one. You want to follow companies who you actually want to work for. So sorry, hydration break. So if you're looking to work for Motorola or McCain Foods or an accountant's office, whoever it is, follow them on social media. And that's actually where Twitter will become more important, because companies who use social media more, they're a little bit more active on Twitter. Doesn't mean that you have to be terribly active on Twitter. It just means you've got to follow these companies and then check in with what types of things they're talking about. Companies who use social media as a big part of their marketing will actually post a lot of their jobs on social media, more so than in traditional places like the job boards or classic job ads in the newspaper. I'm always astonished whenever I actually get a physical newspaper and look, it's like, wow, there are still jobs posted here. That's so cool. But definitely not as many as years gone by. But a lot of these jobs, companies will be posting their jobs on Twitter. There was a couple years ago, there was the president of a big employment society of Human Resource Managers, SHRM. They were taking a poll, and they said companies are posting their job leads 80% more than they were 3 years ago. Okay, so on their social media. So companies are posting their job ads on their social media pages 80% more than they were 3 years ago. Those are big numbers, right? But guess what? He said this in 2010. That was 10 years ago. So just imagine now, these companies are posting their jobs heavily, and even smaller companies too are now posting their jobs on social media. So start following the companies that you want to work for. And then following career advocates. I'm on resume days on Facebook. Doesn't mean you just have to follow me. A lot of great speakers, different career people, job clubs, they all have Facebook groups, Facebook pages that will give out good information. Whenever I'm quoted in an article, or if I find an article that just seems awesome, I love to share it on the Resume Day Facebook page. And so do a lot of my colleagues who do the same thing that I do. So there's great information out there on social media for job seekers. And then off social media, so if you're not a social media person, don't worry, there are still places for you online. There are plenty of online groups. So one of the people in this group and we were talking with Leslie earlier, and she was talking about an interfaith job club group. Well, this group actually has a couple different places online. I don't know if they've got a LinkedIn group. Gosh, they probably do, but they actually have links in the churches. So these are church-based groups, but they'll have pages on the church page that gives articles, that talks about their upcoming meetings, things like that. Different forums for job clubs. Now, Addison Library and Leslie, they run a phenomenal job club, one of the best, if you ask me. But she's always sending out newsletters and posting things to the site. So going in, just doing a search for job club, jobs ministry, employment support group, and then whatever, Chicago, DuPage County, Cook County, Addison, however you want to, drill down, look for actual job clubs, whether they're through a library, through a church, through their own organization. Just by doing a Google search, you'll be able to find out about a lot of these resources online. And then there's a job club list. Someone actually compiled a long list of all the job clubs out there, the people who run them, when the meetings are, etc. And by the way, that was me. So if you want that job club list, feel free to email me. I will say this, COVID has changed this list a lot. And it's not 100% updated, but I'm always working on it. So if you want my job club list, just email me and I'll be more than happy to shoot it out. And yes, Addison's job club is on that list. Excuse me. All right, so holiday networking letters. This is one of those things where you have to be, I think this is a great idea, but you also have to be careful with it. Around the holidays, everything is, supposed to be so happy and light and loving and carefree and everything. But if you're one of those families who sends out, and I get many, I don't know if my husband and I have ever actually sent one before. I like getting them though. I love getting them. But if you are a family who sends out the holiday letters, and this is bold, trust me, I know this is bold, and some people are maybe shaking their heads right now saying, oh my God, I would never do this. But you could, if you're going to be that gutsy, mention in the holiday letter, news from me, kind of the same type of message that I put up for the social media: upbeat, cheerful, hopeful, optimistic about your prospects. But just say, I'm like thousands of us. I was a COVID casualty looking for my next opportunity. I'm talking with, having a lot of great conversations. I've got some prospects, but there's no reason not to get as many prospects as possible. So I'm just putting it out here. If you work for a company that's hiring, if you've worked with a great recruiter or anything like that, boy, that's what's on my wish list this year. Just something like that. But take every advantage is what I'm saying, is what I'm trying to tell you. Just look for those opportunities to let as many people know. And then, of course, if you're going to holiday parties, whether they are business related, whether they're family related, whatever, come up with what I call a holiday elevator pitch. And the reason, and what it is, first of all, is just having that little pitch, that little spiel, like I just said, about talking about your job search, because in person, you are going to be talking to a lot of people who say, hey, what are you doing? How's the job going? What business are you in? If you're just meeting people for the first time, that's just kind of an automatic conversation go-to that we all have, right? And so if you're not prepared for that question, the conversation could take a downward spiral really, really fast. So again, just practice saying, I'm in a job search, but I'm really excited because I know a lot of great companies are going to be hiring. A lot of great companies are kind of ramping up their projects in the first quarter of the next year. So I'm going to be really, really busy homing in on those companies. If you do know of anybody, I'd love to follow up with you. Whatever it is, just have something ready. Okay. And it doesn't have to be a big, like, okay, I'm going to turn this holiday party into my career counseling session. But like I said, if you're not ready for the question, it can just take kind of a downward turn. And you don't want to do that. When you're looking for a job and you're talking with people, consider that as almost part of the interview process, because how your mood is going to be what they remember. So if you are upbeat, optimistic, positive, that's what they're going to remember. If you are a little bitter about a layoff that wasn't your fault, or things are tough right now, or if you're going off on a negative tangent, that's what they're going to remember. Not that you need a job, they're going to remember the emotions that you made them feel. And so let's leave them with a happy, optimistic, positive feeling. All right. Those people will want to reach out and help you. And then, and by the way, then make a plan to follow up. If you're talking with someone about your job search and just saying, hey, but you know what, enough about me, let's go open presents, or, hey, let's go talk with the Joneses, haven't seen them in a while, whatever it is. So just kind of cut it short, but then make a plan, whether that's actually, can I follow up with you next week, or just a note to yourself, make sure to follow up with this person next week. Continue the conversation when it's not party time. Let's see. And then, excuse me. Now, here's a great idea that I've actually helped a couple of my clients implement over the years. And I call it a consulting partnership. And essentially, what this is let's say that your career specialty is social media. Partner with someone who is a great marketing person who maybe doesn't want to deal with the social media aspect, maybe more the traditional type marketing or creating fundraisers or something like that. You could create a consulting partnership that is essentially like a brand new small little business. And it's best if this, well, not best, but it's best if this person is also looking for work. Okay. So if two of you are looking for work and you're meeting at a networking opportunity, networking group or whatever, boy, we're both out of work. What do? Well, I'm expert at social media. Oh, interesting. Well, I do a lot of fundraisers. Not crazy about the social media side. Maybe that's an opportunity there. You can create a short-term partnership where you two are then going to put your services and your expertise together and market your services to small businesses so that you can actually maybe get a couple clients, get some cash for the holidays. It's a resume builder. And if both of you are looking for work, it's going to be short time. So I'm not talking about completely putting off your job search and becoming self-employed. I'm just saying doing some consulting, but adding some extra oomph to that consulting by bringing in another person who can complement the skills that you have to offer. Like I said, I've actually kind of set this up, made some introductions, and kind of set up a plan with, oh gosh, I think 4 times. Yeah, 4 times. And it was so cool. I mean, it worked exactly like it was supposed to. And both of these people were taking on clients and working on projects while both of them were still conducting their job search. But just by joining forces, it opened both of those people up to so many networking and job prospects that they wouldn't have had otherwise. So if you have some kind of skill that you could potentially offer on a consulting basis, think about who would complement those skills the best, as well as open you up to networking and other opportunities that you wouldn't have had otherwise. Okay. There's a lot of power in it, and it may be what puts you over, over the top in that job search could be what actually lands you your next job. And like I said, at the very least, you'll be able to keep your skills relevant. It's a resume builder and could get you a little bit of cash for the holidays. Next, I want to talk about a very cool website. And actually, I want everyone on this to chime in. Has anyone here heard of Photo Feeler? So if you have, like, either raise your hand or put it in the chat or something. I'm just wanting to know if this is a new site. I know one of you knows it because I introduced it in one of my classes previously, but I'm curious to know if this is a new site to everybody or if this is something that you've used before or are familiar with. So Leslie, I'm going to ask you to help me out as any responses come in. Like I said, whether it's the chat or unmute yourself, that's fine with me. Unmute yourself and tell me.
If someone says it's new to them, and then if anyone's wondering, at like the bottom Zoom bar, there's a button that says reactions, and you can use that to react. You want to just like raise your little Zoom hand or.
Yep, right. That's exactly what it, raising your Zoom hand. Let's see. Okay, well, you know what? I'll go. Has anyone else responded?
Got 3 people who said it's new to them.
Ah, cool. Okay, cool. All right, so you guys are going to think that I'm absolutely insane as I recommend this to you, but I am not kidding. Here's exactly what Photo Feeler is. Again, it's photofeeler.com. I've got their homepage right on the screen here. I know all the responses I get whenever I talk about this site, but here's what it is. You upload your picture to this website and strangers vote on it. So for you, those of you, I'm hoping no one hangs up. Don't click off. Don't click off the Zoom if you if you just heard that and think I just lost my mind here. It's such an anomaly, and it's so confusing to me. I've used Photo Feeler for years now, probably close to 10. Gosh, I want to say maybe 10 years. And it has never been awful or soul crushing. I don't know how they do it. They watch really, really carefully what happens within their website. Because again, literally you are uploading your photo and strangers will vote on it. So there are 3 categories in photo feeler. There are business pictures, there are social pictures, and then there's dating pictures. So for what it's worth, I've only used the business profile. You upload your photo that you want to put on your LinkedIn profile. You make other, well, yeah, I guess, I mean, where else would you use your business headshot? Pretty much just on LinkedIn, right? Maybe your handbill on a handbill that you hand out at networking events, whatever, doesn't matter. But you upload your photo. You can put just a couple little words like career, not your name. You don't post your name. But for me, I think I have career coach or something, or resume writer, something like that. And then you can start a test. I think they call it a test, where people will vote. But the way to get votes is that you go on that site yourself and you vote on other people's photos. And basically you're voting in 3 different categories. Does this person look like competent, influential, and friendly? I think are if memory serves, those are the 3 categories. And 0, 1, 2, or 3. So 3 is the best, 0 is the worst. But you're going to vote on them and say, does this person look competent? Yeah, they look pretty competent. Do they look friendly? Well, she's kind of scowling in her picture. I don't think she comes off as very friendly. Do they look influential? Like, oh, well, yeah, she looks like she could kick a butt or 2 in her industry. So yeah, she looks influential. Whatever it is. But you vote, and the more votes that you give to other people, the more votes you earn, so other people can vote on yours. Like I said, I've used this site for about 10 years. Anytime I choose a different photo, I now run it through Photo Feeler first, just to get some feedback. And it has actually influenced which photo I've posted on my LinkedIn profile because of feedback. But here's the thing, any feedback that I get, it's always helpful. It's never, she looks awful, or she doesn't look like she's doing, or she's, it's not the actual regular internet that we're all used to. It's never been soul crushing. It's never been like, there's never been anything that I felt was like, too harsh. And the people at Photo Feeler, I don't know, like I said, they've tapped into something magical where it's just not the awfulness of the internet that we expect. You don't have to do this, but like I said, the holidays generally finds us with a little bit more downtime. This is a good way to fill it. And like I said, I have actually picked out which LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn headshot I'm going to use based on feedback that I've gotten from Photo Feeler. So it's a fun website that I get great information from, and it's not soul crushing. So try it out. If nothing else, you don't even have to upload a photo. You can just go on and just vote for people, not vote for people, but give your feedback and your votes and everything. And then that might make you a little bit more comfortable. Like, yeah, you know what? I could do this myself. Let me see how this goes. So I think it's worth it. I think it's worth the time. That's all I'm saying. And I'll be interested to know if anyone actually does this. I hope so. All right, let's see. Okay, and then the next website and my next piece of advice is volunteer. Okay, give to get. It just, it generally always works out in your favor. If you've got some extra time because you're not working, you could volunteer in something that is meaningful to you, but also in a way that's going to help maintain and develop career skills. Okay, so there is this website that I'm showing you right now, Volunteer Match. Fantastic website. It's chock full of all sorts of nonprofits and associations. When you go on to Volunteer Match, you create a little profile, and it's going to ask you what your interests are. So if there are specific demographics that you would like to volunteer, whether it's for children, seniors, animals, homeless, English as a second language, lots of, so many different categories. I can't even begin to list them all, but you can list art. Art is another one I want to say. But you can list a couple of interests, and then it's going to send you opportunities that include those interests. And you also don't have to be limited by those interests. You could just go and flip through, because you never know what you're going to find that may have been filtered out otherwise. But when you're volunteering, well, in the holidays, lots more opportunities for volunteering, obviously, but you're not doing it just to put some, well, you're not just, this is where it's going to sound a little selfish, but you're not just doing it to put some good out there. But doing good and, putting some good out there, something good out there is, of course, absolutely wonderful. But you want to be networking with people. So who are the people that are running the organization? Who are the other volunteers? Get to know those people that you're now actually working shoulder to shoulder with, to see if they know of other companies that are hiring. My goodness, the very first resume that I ever wrote professionally, so over 20 years ago, right after I created Resume Day, my very first client was a gentleman who owned a business in town, and we were talking about his job prospects. He was not interested in any of them. So I'm sitting there, trying to get something that he was excited about so that we could write this resume so he could go into the next phase of his career. And I said, well, what do you do when you're not working? And he said, oh gosh, well, I volunteer with, I think it was the Conservation Society. And his face just lit up. He said, yeah, I help plant different plants. We do river cleanup. We help animals in need. And I mean, my gosh, he just absolutely lit up. And I said, well, Jim, that's where we should be looking for a job for you. And he goes, no, it's a nonprofit. They need volunteers. They don't need employees. Well, they actually do have plenty of employees, and they pay good salaries, and you've only known them on the volunteer level. It doesn't mean that that's where you have to stay. I said, let me do something. I'm going to write your resume specifically for this organization or other organizations like them, focusing on your volunteer experience, not the business experience. Of course, we're going to bring the business experience in. I'm not leaving that off the resume, but we're going to focus this resume on you working for an organization that is either the Conservation Society or one like it. And if it doesn't work, I will rewrite your resume for free. And he said, well, I can't say no to that. I don't believe it, but I can't say no to that. So fine. So I wrote this resume. He really liked it and sent it out. And I told him, now stay in touch with me and let me know what happens. And he said, oh, I will. And I didn't hear anything from him. And then one day, a couple weeks later, I got a letter in the mail, and in it was, one of those envelopes, and it was a note from Jim saying, you were right. I am now, it was like the director of fundraising or something like that for the Conservation Society. I can't thank you enough. And by the way, will you donate to us? I said, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. Of course I will. So I gave a little donation and wrote a note back saying, Jim, I couldn't be happier. This was just, such a success. And my very first resume that I ever wrote professionally, I still consider it one of my favorite wins, success stories. But he did that because he had built up such a great network from volunteering. Okay, so think about that. If you've already been volunteering in any capacity, can you potentially turn that into a job prospect, or just networking with those people that you have now met? Network with them to see if they know of any similar organizations or just in their regular life companies. So don't leave your volunteering. Don't compartmentalize that so much that you don't consider that as well. Okay. And Volunteer Match is just a phenomenal site to find out all of these opportunities. If you aren't volunteering now and want to add that to your schedule, this is where I would first send you. All right. And now lastly, last part here is I have a wish list for job seekers. So this is written from the perspective of, if you know a job seeker in your life, here are some gifts that you can gift to them over the holidays. But as a job seeker, I want you to take this list and say, are there any of these that I can add to my wish list this year? And by the way, I have it here in a handout. So if you want me to send this to you, just shoot me an email. I'm happy to send that out to you. Okay. But here are my ideas. I've got 8 of them. Gifts for job seekers. First, and this is going to sound a little self-promotional, but you can gift the services of a career coach or resume writer. And it doesn't have to be me. And actually, well, let me finish that thought in just a moment. But I can't tell you how many times I'll have someone hire me for either one of their relatives or a friend, someone who needs help with their job search. And then they'll say, can you do me a favor? I don't think this person would be happy I don't want them to know that I spent money on this, because they may think it's, more charitable than it's supposed to be. And so I'll say, no problem. I'll say that I sent a gift certificate, some raffle, and they drew the raffle, and now they're giving you this free gift certificate or something like that. So I'm happy to work around those kind of parameters. But here is what I do recommend. If you are thinking about hiring a career coach, resume writer, someone to write a LinkedIn profile, someone to help with interview skills, whatever it is, what I would say is offer to pay for the services after the job seeker has picked the person they want to work with. There have been just a few cases where I've been prepaid and I'll contact the job seeker, and the job seeker is like, oh, okay, well, I guess so. I wish they had talked to me first. I don't know if this is really something I want to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like, oh gosh, now that's just kind of an awkward situation. So if you are, if you're the job seeker, find the person that you want to work with. And then if you do have a wish list, say money towards interviewing skills or money towards a new resume at resume day or whomever else you'd prefer to work with. But yeah, having people actually gift you a new resume could mean all the difference, right? Second one, and this one is free. You can ask people, or I'll say this. Yeah, I'll say this from the perspective of the job seeker. This one costs absolutely nothing. Ask people in your network, or ask people in your family, people who are close to you that would be giving you gifts. Ask for introductions to influential people who could impact your job search. So it may be asked to go along with maybe a good friend of yours is, president of a company or just works at a company or whatever, and that they're going to be having a holiday networking or a holiday party or whatever. See if you can tag along. And again, happy, short elevator pitch that is optimistic, but just see if you can shake hands with some influential people and build your network that way. Next, paying the annual dues to an important business association or professional group. So if there is some kind of, I mentioned SHRM before, Society of Human Resource Managers. If you are looking for a job and you're in human resources, an annual membership to SHRM could really, really help out your job search and get you in front of a lot of job ads that you wouldn't see otherwise. Almost every single industry out there has its own association. So asking for the membership fees for that particular association could really, really give you a leg up in your search. And then, of course, there's premium membership on LinkedIn. 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is. A month is around $30 or so. So a 3-month membership to premium LinkedIn would be what is that, $90, or 4 months, $120. That's not too bad. If someone's going to be spending money on you anyway, that could be, that premium could be what gets you your next job, get you in front of a lot more recruiters, put you on the top when you apply for jobs, etc. So it could be money well spent. A good book. There, plenty of books out there to help job seekers. just about every single year, What Color Is Your Parachute comes out with their updated version. It's always extremely good, extremely relevant. I like that one a lot. Another one that I use an awful lot is called Strengths Finders 2.0. That is a mouthful. Put out by Gallup. It's a great personal assessment, and then the book is complementary to that by giving lots of information from the results that you get from your assessment. And by the way, StrengthsFinder 2.0, it's usually just like 15 or 20 bucks on Amazon. So easy to get, easy to do, not that expensive. That's definitely one that I recommend as well. But lots of others, if you are in negotiating, if you're going to be negotiating salary, there are tons of phenomenal negotiating books out there, etc. So not a bad thing to add to your wish list. Maybe you need something that's going to make you look good on interviews, such as a nice tie or nice suit, or even professional earrings and bracelet, something like that. Just something to kind of make you feel more confident on your upcoming interviews. Remote work. So if you are if you're a job seeker looking for remote work, then ask for what I'm not using today, a ring light, or maybe your laptop didn't come with a camera, so you need a web camera or a headset. Like I said, I'm always looking for that next great but affordable headset. So if you're going to be doing remote interviews or actually working remotely, those are things that will really, really help not only your interview, but also on the job performance. And if you are doing remote interviews, just that presentation itself, having proper lighting, being able to hear, speaking clearly, etc., that could be the difference between getting a job offer and not getting a job offer. So if there's a chance for you to ask for better equipment to help you with an interview, that would be a great thing for your list. And then lastly, and this is for not necessarily for the job seekers to ask for, but if you are gifting for a job seeker, something that rewards their hard work. As we all know, looking for a job is a job in itself. So if you know of a job seeker and they've been chugging along, doing their best, they've got a great resume, they're doing all that networking, reward them. Take them out, give them movie certificates or just a nice present to say, hey, I see all the work that you're putting in your job search. I know it's going to pay off soon. I'm pulling for you. Whatever I could do, let me know. But in the meantime, make sure to treat yourself well. Here, have a night out or have a spa day or have here's some music, whatever it is. But rewarding job seekers for putting all the effort they are into their job search would be really, really, really appreciated by any job seeker out there. All right, so my friends, that's what I've got for you today. Hopefully some of these tips have been helpful. Hopefully I've encouraged you to maybe get out of your comfort zone a little bit when you're talking about your job search. Again, really, it's a numbers game. It is absolutely a numbers game. So the more people that you talk to, connect with, ask for help, actually create a call to action, the more those people are going to help you. And most likely it's going to be one of those things that pays off rather than just simply running your traditional job search. For me, ABC means always be connecting. That's what I've got. I absolutely wish everyone here not only a very happy holiday season, but a very fruitful and successful job search.